I'm Phoebe Beasley, and I'm a collage artist, and it is July 11, 2013, Woodland Hills, California.
I can't forget, we were somewhere, and Cecil Ferguson said, I didn't like Phoebe Beasley because I always thought she was white. Remember that?
I do.
When you were little, did people think you were white?
You know, when Cecil said that, that he didn't like me because he thought I was white, I thought, Cecil has known me for 40 years. And he put me in shows, that he had curated. And, I did hear when I was growing up, people would ask me, particularly in college, because they didn't know who my parents were. When you're in elementary or junior high school, they can kind of follow you home. But when you're in college, I remember my roommate then asking me, what are you? And I thought, or she said, no, her question to me was, where are you from? And I said, Cleveland. She says, no, where are your people from? And I thought, my father was born in Alabama and my mother, I think, in Cleveland. Oh, well, what are you? And I thought, I'm black. And she said, well, black people come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. Have you noticed that? And so I'm always amazed that people wouldn't get the idea that we're all different colors.
They don't. They don't.
They don't.
No. My thing, I always used to say, when people say, what are you? I always used to say, I am what you think I am.
Oh, yeah.
Because people get the notion in their head of what you are, and
right.
nothing you can say is going to
right.
make them think any different. So it's just easier to say, I am what you think I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I am. I got so many bits and pieces of me that if you think I'm Chinese, I got one of them over here too. So, all right. So, at what point in your life did you make that tall work for you?
Oh goodness, I think I'm still trying to make that tall work. Oh, at what point? It's interesting what gives you impetus. And I think that it was Jackie Kennedy. And not that she was that tall, but she looked tall to me on the television. And so she was so elegant, and she had size 10 shoes. And I thought, oh, this is the first woman other than me who had, big feet. And so she, she stood erect. And I think about the time I was in high school, you just get used to it. And there are more boys that are about your height or taller, so that's always a plus. Because, in high school, boys didn't date girls that were shorter than them, and that was very unusual. Heck, it's still unusual for... So...
So why did you decide to come to California?
I knew I was going to be leaving Cleveland. I was getting out of a marriage, and my brother lived here. I was looking at New York or San Francisco. And he said, Phoebe, if you're going to go any place, you need to come where there's family. And, we just don't have that much family. I have one sister. That's all I have left. And... So being around my brother was the best idea.
Did you know anybody else here? Did you know anybody in the art world here?
No, I didn't. I knew Bill Burke, and because we'd all grown up together in Cleveland. Actually, we didn't exactly grow up. He was older. He took me to my first dance because he worked for my father. He had to take me. And he took my sister, too. Had no choice. So I knew Bill, and my brother was now working for Bill. And so that was the connection. It always felt very much like family. And with Bill and Yvonne, it's always been their family.
Well, Bill was a cutie pie back then, in those days, so
Well.
wouldn't necessarily mind going to a dance with Bill.
I was taller than him then, I think.
Okay. So, how did you get known here for your art?
I started doing small shows, and first in people's homes. And I think friends of mine would say, "Oh, well, I hear you're an artist, and if you'd like to have a little show in my home, and maybe give me an artwork if I have a show for you," or they would buy a work, and then they would introduce me to friends of theirs, and I think it was, oh goodness, it was probably Bill Russell, who's kind of spearheaded my career. He introduced me to Maya Angelou. We became friends, and Bill actually hosted my first one-person show in Seattle when he was coach and general manager of Seattle Supersonics. And also in that mix was Bernie Casey, Dr. Bernie Casey, who encouraged Bill to show my work and to tell friends about it. And so that kind of started me. That Bernie Casey also suggested that I be on the board of Savannah College of Art and Design. He was on that board. I think I served about 10 years on the board. It was it's about 30 years old now, the college, and one of the largest art college in the nation. It's just unbelievable, but I was pleased to have served on that.
While you were serving on that board, did you have the opportunity to talk to the kids, the artists in the school?
I did. And not only there, usually we went to Savannah College when it was about time for graduation. So we got to see a lot of the students, but they were, euphoric because they were graduating. But I did have exhibits there, had 2 exhibits there before I joined the board. So I did meet, students there and encouraged them. Also, anytime I did an exhibit, whether it was a gallery show or at somebody's home, I would always want to know if there was an opportunity to go to a school. My teaching background, it's like you're an entrepreneur. Some things just get out, and being in a classroom is not foreign to me, so whether it's elementary or doing artist in residence for college, they're all important to me.
I think we could take a break because it's awfully hot in here. Not for you, but for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you remember when the first time you got big money for a piece of art?
Oh my goodness. There's been increments because, again, once you sold one for $1,000, I think that was at the show in Seattle at the Polly Freelander Gallery that Bill Russell hosted, and I was excited about that being a benchmark. And I think when I sold one for $5,000, and that was exciting, $10,000. I do remember several years ago, got a call very early in the morning, and Don answered the phone. It was about 6:30 in the morning, and he whispered, "Do you want to talk to an Earl Graves?" My eyes lit up and said, "Yes, I do." And it was Earl Graves, who's the chairman of the board of Black Enterprise magazine, was calling. And And as I've learned in the past, rich people do not call you with a no. You know, they have their people call you, or they don't answer the phone, but when they call you, you've already got the yes. It's just a matter of how much. And so when Earl Graves was calling me, it was, why do you keep sending me all this stuff? You sent me this brochure with your artwork in it. I said, because you need to own my work. And I decided to treat him in the same attitude that he was treating me. Because one of the things you learn in sales is that you mirror your image of your customer. And Earl is a very gruff man that, you have to know him before he becomes a little placid. But he was almost, annoyed that I had sent him this brochure. And he said, well, obviously, if I'm calling you, it's because I'm interested in your work. And I thought, okay, now we're getting to it. And then he said, I want you to pick out the one you think I should buy because, I'm tired of buying my wife jewelry or a car. She doesn't need that. I want to buy her an artwork for her birthday. And pick out the one that you think that she'd like. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm having to make that selection. And call me back tomorrow and tell me what you decide and tell me why I should buy that one. So now I'm going to have to make a presentation. And this is a work that's over $20,000. So it was, okay. I was supposed to call him back, but then I got selected for jury duty. And so then the time I was supposed to call that afternoon, the judge had said, and make sure you're back here on time. And so there I was on the phone, in my car phone, at a Ralph's, eating my chicken sandwich and making a presentation about which one he should buy, Earl Graves should buy for his wife. And he was so impressed with the presentation about, and naturally it was the most expensive one, but I also felt as though, I said, I only know a little bit about you, but anybody who has put up with you and your 3 sons must be the lace in your tablecloth. And so I started with that kind of analogy, and the ones I was making, I said, you need to have timeless textured threads. And a woman who's sewing and keeps her family together by just making sure that all the stitches are right and all the embroidery is right in place. And that's what she must be doing in your life so you can go out here and act crazy. And so he said, you're making me cry just hearing about which one. And he said, could you put that in words when you send the artwork? And then we started talking about the price of the artwork. Well, I can't pay retail. I'm Earl Graves. And I thought, how did I know? That. And so he ended up buying the piece. And he also called me that Saturday. He said the check was going to be in the mail. But something happened. They had a snowstorm. So he was calling to tell me, I want you to know I went to the post office myself and then found out that the post office had closed. And I thought, what? You're going to tell me the check is in the mail, but it's not? I mean, how could you do that? And he said, no, you have to. And so he was so apologetic that I had to let the gallery know that the check would be coming. Not to release the painting until we got the check, of course, and he wanted it, by a certain date. But that was a monumental sale that I'm very proud of.
Which shows dimension in you that I don't honestly find in most artists. No. I'll fact that by saying, I think I'm an artist, right?
Yes.
I couldn't give my work away because I don't know how to negotiate. Don't want to know either, yes. Because if somebody rejects me, then I feel like they are damaging me as a person. Yes. And I think most artists behave that way, or feel that way.
It's difficult. The rejection is incredibly difficult because it is so, it's your children, it's your inner space. It is what's coming out of your mind. It's your belief system. It's your vision. It's your creativity. But I'm not sure what that is about me that wants me to stay out there and show people, particularly the ones who haven't bought my work or don't believe in my work, that I do have a place here. I belong out here. And if you don't believe it, it's okay. It's okay. Because I got this. I understand it. And somebody will understand it. If not me, oh, I got this. Somebody else is going to believe that too. So you just know that there is another person out there. And for the people who've looked at it and said, you're not what my vision should be, that I think, this work should be on the walls of a museum or my home or my corporation. I've heard it all. I know there's somebody who believes just the opposite. And, they'll find me.
Amazing. Wonderful and amazing.
A rejection is a hell of a motivator. and it's probably part of my sales background. And having come from a child who was fairly shy and didn't speak up and was, at times withdrawn, to somebody who can't wait to tell you what I'm thinking, it's to some people it's quite a transformation. So
it is. It's like the opposite sides of the coin.
Yes.
Really,
Yes.
So bravo, Phoebe.
Thank you.
Let us talk about you and your fondness for presidents of the United States.
Seemingly.
Although the Bush one kind of threw me, but
It's interesting. I've now done 3 presidential commissions, and I remember a prominent Democrat saying to me, the fact that you did a Republican, I am so troubled by that. And I thought, it's okay. It's all right, if you're troubled by it. But I was very honored to it was the first President Bush, and this was in 1989, and his people came to me. And actually, they came to the gallery that represented me in Washington, D.C. And they were looking for an artist to do his inaugural artwork. And the gallery called me. Now, let me preface this by saying that a friend of mine, Zora Brown, had gone to 39 galleries in the city of Washington, D.C. and parts beyond, because she thought my work should be in a gallery there. And she owned my work, she thought it should be represented, and she said, Phoebe, I will take this on as my mantra to find you a gallery in Washington. And I thought, oh, that's so sweet of you. And she would call me and say, they said they have one black artist, that's all they're going to, she would walk in the door, and because she's African American, they'd say, oh, we don't show the work of African American artists. And so she got so many rejections. This particular gallery, when she walked in, showed them my work, they said, as a matter of fact, it's interesting because President Bush, his people, have been looking for an artist, and I think the artwork of the artist you're representing would fit nicely with what we want to do. And that's how she got it. So that's how I got that commission, which, when people say they're troubled by it, they don't know that somebody spent a lot of legwork just finding me a gallery, and that whole coming together, that partnership, was such a surprise that I'm real pleased it happened. when President Clinton's people said that they wanted to use my work, when I heard that there was a possibility, I thought they will never use it because they will never select my work because I did it for President Bush. And when they did, I was even more surprised. And so I was honored that he had me do a monoprint, or his committee did, because there was not a time to do a poster. And so he presented a monoprint to every ambassador, both foreign and domestic, of my work. And a monoprint meant that I was in a hotel room all night painting over the prints so they would all be originals. And so they could come and get them early in the morning. And
take a sentence back.
Take a sentence back. Say that you were in the hotel to say what a monoprint is for our purposes here, so you don't get my.
A monoprint is that you take a print of a work and then you actually paint over it, or you can use crayon or pencil, but in some way you're embellishing that print and to make it a little original. So it's a monoprint. Each one of them has something unique about it, and I was using paint, and I was using crayon and pencil, and all of these things. They were lined up in my hotel room. I'd moved out just about all the furniture and had hundreds of them, lots of ambassadors, and so they would be drying. So when President Clinton's people came to pick them up, they would be ready for him to present to each ambassador.
How'd that make you feel?
You know, I think I come from the Gordon Park School of Thought, and he was the one who gave me the idea that the highs and lows are imposters, that it's about the work. And sometimes we're so exhausted, we're so into the work, that we don't have time for the euphoria. And it only lasts for a second anyway, and so you still have to go that extra 20 miles of doing the work. So I'm always about, okay, this is not going to be long. You know, I'm depressed right now. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm angry. But I've got to get through this work. Or and the same thing happens when I'm having periods of, I did it. I am so good. You know, when you just want to pat yourself on the back and you think, okay, that's enough of that, Phoebe. You know, it's go back in the studio and let's go to work.
Wow. I just within the last month reread Gordon Park's autobiography.
Did you?
Yeah. It was very interesting because
Yes.
he was not, when I met him, he was not the kind of guy I want to, you know, cuddle up with in terms of friendship or anything.
Yes.
But reading his book, you understood all of that.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So I thought I'd read it again just to, you know, I'm a reader. I read everything. Yes. So it's funny that he came up in your conversation. What do you think you'll be doing 10 years from now?
Goodness, whatever I'll be doing it much slower. I'll be doing it with infirmities, but I expect that I will be still creating. I don't know whether it will be on canvas. I enjoy the written word. It's very difficult writing, but so is it going to the canvas. I enjoy speaking. I've been doing more of that, whether it's talking to the collage artists of America about copyright laws and things they need to know. So it's going to be all-encompassing, hopefully. And, you know, 20 years ago, we could not have predicted all the avenues for expression. And so looking down the 20 years from now, I just can't even envision. When I was in college, we had 10 Reds, and now there's 10,000 Reds. I remember Oprah had said to me once that wherever I go, Phoebe, somebody tells me I'm a friend of Phoebe Beasley. I'm a friend. You can't have that many friends. And I thought, Oprah, when you were in elementary school, I was out here doing this one person at a time. So I couldn't have envisioned when she was in elementary school that an Oprah Winfrey would be very supportive of my work and care about me as an artist and, just be, one of the incredible icons, global icons. So,
it's easy to care about you as a person because I met you as a person before I knew about your work.
Yes.
And you're extremely likable. And I don't like most people, so I got witnesses here. I don't. And then I discovered your work, which I really like. Of course, knowing how much it costs, I can't afford my bride gown, but that's okay too. No, you never know what 20 years or even the next year will bring.
Yeah.
Who are some of the people the iconic kind of people? Maya Angelou, Oprah Winfrey, Bill Russell, those kinds of people have embraced you.
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
And I would also put Gordon Parks in that. And why people embrace me, I would like to think it's what you just said, that I'm likable. And I don't know what that's about. I think that to me ought to be pretty easy, to extend kindness and to expect it in return. To care about people, I don't see that as difficult. So when people, there's a reciprocity with friendships. You can't just do this with one oar. And so sometimes there are people who come into your life that really want to be there, and it makes sense for you to extend yourself. And then there's times that you extend yourself and, you can't get phone calls returned. But for the most part, I'm part of that large group of people that are very nice people, I hope. That's...
When people look at a Phoebe Beasley work, what do you want them to see?
Well, first of all, as a viewer, I want them to bring their own information to the table. When you're talking about looking at my work, what they're seeing is just half of it. The other half is what they're bringing. So they're bringing their own portrait. They're bringing their own canvas to my work. There are things that people will see in my work that I don't even see because, their information base is different. Their growing up is different. What they see, I may see a yellow sun and someone else may see, a bowl of fruit. We may be looking at the same canvas. So what I hope they will see is every time they look at it, they will see something else in it. That it keeps you coming back. It keeps you asking questions. It keeps you wanting to look at it again. And hopefully that once you see it, you'll enjoy it so much that you won't want to forget it. It'll be in your psyche. There are times people will ask me about the same painting. Oh, is that so-and-so sold? Have you sold the one that kind of looks like the bride? And so they will have something on their mind for 10, 20 years, and sometimes they'll then have the money. And sometimes it's waiting for them. Sometimes it's a little too late. So that's such a compliment.
I think we're about through here. We may come back, not for the gala, because got plenty for the gala, but we may come back and just find out some more about how you do your work, how you market your work, how that kind of stuff is very interesting to me.
Okay.
So,
what are you planning to do? You've got some ideas of doing.
Yeah, I do.
You want to do this for you're planning to write that book, aren't you?
No.
You're going to use that to market your book.
No.
No.
My book remains hidden until I die, and my grandchildren can market it, and nobody can say, "Oh, you did that. She did that."
Elijah's got it on his iPad. My name is Phoebe Beasley, and I am, goodness, let me start with I'm a nice person. I know this sounds very simple, but in order to do what I do, it involves a lot of people, and it has over the years. So how I respond and how I work with people and what I do, because I'm a collage artist, a figurative collage artist. So I get my inspiration from people. So how they treat me and vice versa is a real important component of what I do.
Where were you born?
I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and left there after I taught high school. I came here in 1969, so most of my growing up years, I think I was about 26 when I came here. So I'm constantly in search of heat, because when you grow up in Cleveland, which is like the tundra, frozen tundra, I live in the West Valley now. It can't get hot enough. Dubai would not be hot enough for me because I'm constantly in search of heat. So I love it.
When did you begin to do art?
Mm-hmm. I started in elementary school, at a very early age. I think what happened was, you're asked to do the bulletin boards when you're in elementary school, and it meant you got out of class, and I was very good at the bulletin boards. Plus, I would do a little notebook sketches, and I would get all of these accolades from my peers. And when you get that kind of reinforcement at a very early age, you think, oh, I must have something special. I must be something special. Plus, being born with red hair and being the tallest person in the class makes you kind of different anyway. So you always got that kind of reinforcement, or I did, from my people in my class. And I was encouraged in my home. My mother died when I was 7. She was about 29 when she passed away. So you get the information very early that we need to actualize every minute, and that we may not be here tomorrow. So working very hard for a lot of years is what we do. I do remember when I was in elementary school, it was about 6th grade, there was a contest. The Cleveland Plain Dealer had the best artist in elementary school. And I opened the rotogravure, and there were all of these artists. And not only was I not in it, I didn't even know about the contest. And I looked at every artwork in there and I thought, oh, they're better than I am. Oh, I'm as good as they are. And so I was measuring the artwork that was, considered the best in the contest. But what it did was gave me the information that I have to keep working hard because I see so many artists that are better than I am. When you're in elementary school and you're the best one in your school, you think you're the best one in the world because your world is that school. And then all of a sudden, you know that there's 20 or 30 other schools that you're competing with. And maybe there's even a bigger world of elementary school kids. So that was my drive to keep working.
You had brothers and sisters?
I had one of each, and I'm the middle child. I have a sister who's much shorter than I am, and my brother was also much shorter. So again, when you're the tallest person and you're the only one with red hair, they always said, it looks like we think it was the milkman. So you always it made me very shy as growing up because I was kind of the bunt of most jokes. It added to my shyness. It made me withdraw. And also it made me probably escape into the art. And so it was not that difficult to do since I was good at it. And my parents, my stepmother and my father now, provided the tools for me to do that. And my stepmother, my dad remarried about a couple of years after my mom died. And my stepmother could draw. And so, oh my goodness, she really made sure that I went to the Cleveland Institute of Art or to the Cleveland Museum of Art, that I got to see the best art. And she was just so supportive of me being an artist that it was quite special.
Wow, that is special.
Yeah.
That's not your typical stepmother kind of action.
As a matter of fact, she lived to be 92, and we were her only children. And, that was our mom from the time we were, it's about 9.
Good, great. All right, so you followed along the kind of normal path of going to school, graduating, going to college.
Yes.
And did you get married?
Yes, I did, for about a year. Yes, I did. So it wasn't very long, as we say in the trade.
I got you beat. I was married for 6 weeks, but that's okay.
No.
I was married for 6 weeks.
I think technically I was too, but it's just stretched out. And, and that was the only time.
When you were a little girl,
mm-hmm.
playing by yourself or
Yes.
drawing by yourself, were you lonely?
I don't remember that word. I mean, I don't remember that ever happened, that I was lonely. My sister and brother I was very close to. We always had a house full of people. And there were, my stepmother and my father made sure that we had parties. There was church. So I don't remember being lonely. I do remember being shy, and but if I knew you well, I wasn't. So
sounds like a happy childhood.
Well, when my father and my stepmother got divorced, it wasn't that happy because now that's the second mother who is left. And that was very painful for us. In fact, we wanted to go live with my stepmother, but the courts didn't allow that. You have to live with your natural parent in Ohio. So there were some parts of it that were not, yeah.
Well, excuse me. Did you do a lot of art work in high school?
Goodness, yes. I took art classes and I majored in art. And as a matter of fact, I've got a couple of those artworks that my stepmother kept. And one of them was The Last Supper. And it was my first commission. A friend of mine had commissioned me to do this for her Latin class. And had The Last Supper, had the words in Latin and then in English. And she paid me $10. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm making money for my art. And I didn't realize until I went to an assembly and the whole student body was there. And she got first prize with my artwork. And I thought, oh no. I mean, it was the first realization that you have to take care of your artwork. It belongs to you. You have to make sure you sign it. And you do everything that you can to, well, as we know now, the word is copyright. But I went up to this person after the assembly and I said, I want my artwork back and here's your $10. So I now have it. I still have that artwork.
She got the prize.
She got the prize. I should have asked for the prize too.
Wow. That was a moment of heavy impact for her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. It's kind of like it told you everything you needed to know about the future, the world, in one little cosm and with one little incident. And, you know, it's happened more times, you know, with people either using your work on the cover of a book in Brazil without permission and not wanting to pay the usage fees. So all of these things have happened over the years, but I'm on it. I am more aware of it. So I'm also, the business side of me gets out.
That's you took the word right out of my mouth, because I thought if you were going to describe yourself, as we were doing earlier, you would say, I'm an artist, I'm a businesswoman, I'm a philanthropist, I'm a whole bunch of different things.
Yes, a community activist. I was involved in politics. I served on an LA County Arts Commission for 15 years. I love politics. I love that, you know, finding out where the flow of money and people is. I love doing deals. I was also in radio for 28 years in radio sales and marketing. I love doing deals. I love the idea of concept to consumer. How things get bought and sold in this country is one of the most fascinating things to me, that I start off every day by reading the business section. And that's, again, you know, people expect an artist to be, okay, you're just thinking on one side of your brain, but you're really running a small company. You're an entrepreneur. You're working with shippers, creators, galleries, copyright attorneys. So you not knowing this, not being able to understand it, not having some kind of information about it, somebody's got to do it. So unfortunately, it was left to me to do it myself, and the good thing is that I enjoy doing it. So it's also my being with people. You know, when you're in a studio, the most difficult thing is that you are so alone that the only person I get to see with my art, once I take it out of here, is the photographer, the graphics company, that image company that photographs it, and then my framer. And so it's the most solitary thing you'll ever do as an artist. If you're writing a book, it's collaborative. You have an editor most of the time. If you're a musician, there's so many other ways that you're able to collaborate. But when you're an artist, when you're a visual artist, you are here in your studio with the door closed until it's time to eat, and you get a little fiddle and then you come back in here. So when you're an artist who works with doing collages for the most part about people, about people's lives, about humanity, you really have to connect. And so you have to be out there. And as an artist, you also have to be on the gossip circle. Unfortunately, things don't come to you while you're just sitting in your studio. You also have to be out there to be top of mind, so people are thinking of you for projects and commissions and avenues that you can develop an income stream. You're having to think about how to make a living to do this. And it's great if you're an artist and you have somebody doing it for you. You probably need to be in it and around it and also understanding it. But I'm also one of those people who's out there. So.
When did you figure out that you could make a living doing your art?
I think when when my accountant says, the IRS sees you as an artist, and it gets to be real simple. I think at one point I was playing golf. I love golf. Something else that's solitary. But I remember my accountant saying, you can't write it off, take a tax credit, or deduct it the way you can art. So, you need to work on making sure that you do shows, that you're doing exhibits, that you're out there, that you're selling your work. And I thought, I got the message. I understand it. You cannot spend 4 hours on a golf course, while your art is waiting for you. I remember a dear friend and mentor and someone who is a collector of my work, Dr. Maya Angelou. At one point she wanted me to know everybody she had written about in her books who was still alive. So we took a car trip from Los Angeles, stopped in all these little hamlets on the way, and ended up in San Francisco. And at some point she said, Phoebe, what are you working on? And I started to talk about how difficult it was to be an artist, and the galleries were closed to black artists, and I didn't have the time because I was in radio. And she said, stop it, sister, stop it, just stop it this instant. And to hear her voice, it still resonates in my head. But she said, I'm only going to say this once. And you have to understand this. You are smart enough, you are intelligent enough, you're educated enough to figure it out. You must figure it out, how to do your art. I've been supporting your artwork, telling friends about it. I buy your work. You're a great artist. But if you don't do it, you will lose it. And she said, I'm only going to tell you this one more time. If you don't use it, God will take it from you. The dinner was so silent. Once we moved from the bar area to the dinner, my dear friend had yelled at me, and she made it real clear that you must do it. Forget the fact that you have to do other things, you have to make a living, you have to figure it out how to be an artist. And I came home from that car trip, and I thought, all right, that's it. I love the Cleveland Browns, okay? No more Cleveland Browns. I don't think I've seen a full game since that, and that was in the 80s. I don't think I watched a full football game since then. And so now I lecture on turning off the television, how people's dreams, you're watching somebody else's dreams in place, and they have you captive. You must turn it off. You must execute your own dreams. And in fact, if you're watching television, they're working on their next dream for you to watch, because if it's a success, getting you to sit there and do nothing. But we all think, oh, we're using our time to the maximum. But the truth is, having no husband, no children, so all my time was my own discretionary time. I was working night and day. I mean, I was working at night and getting 4 and 5 in the morning, getting dressed for sales meetings at 9 o'clock in the morning. You can do this. You can do this if you're working night and day. And every time I see Maya, the first thing she says to me is, "Sister, what are you working on?" And I remember we were in a beauty shop. She had taken my appointment, and she was sitting there under the dryer, and I thought, oh, I guess I'm not getting my hair done. And so she said, "What are you working on?" And I told her that I was having a show at Bomani, and I gave her a card, an invitation. I said, "I've sent one to your house, but here's an invitation." And I was so proud that I had something to show her. And she said, "May I have this?" And I said, "Of course." Well, she got a call from, at that time, it was Vice President Gore, and he was calling for President Clinton because he wanted her to be on the plane. There was one seat left to go to the inauguration of Nelson Mandela. And she didn't have a chance to go home from Los Angeles. She had to go straight to Washington, and she sent for her clothes. And I heard this story from Oshaki Bomani, who was at the time married to Danny Glover, and she owned a gallery in San Francisco that had my little card. And she said to me, "Oh, you're not going to believe, Maya had your card. She was showing our card to Castro. She was showing our card to kings and presidents. You have to know my friend Phoebe Beasley. You have to know my work. You have to know the work. You have to go to the Bomani Gallery." She said, "I couldn't believe it when I saw Maya with my invitation for our gallery in San Francisco, showing it to people." So you never know where your friends and family and everybody you know are going to pick up and tell your story and be your PR, extend your information about you. So it's always important to keep working.